Welcome back, everyone. I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now on Trinidad Times TV. With me today, we've started doing interviews for City Council. We've done a couple so far, but with me today is Eric Treider. Sorry. Anyway, new to running for City Council, and I want to thank you for doing that. We're doing this interview in the Chappelle House, which is in beautiful downtown Trinidad. So, Eric, sorry, I'm a little bit rusty. This is just my third interview, and I haven't done these in a little while. So, but I'm getting back into it and getting better. Mm-hmm. So, Eric, we're going to get started right away. And what I've done is, as I've explained to other people, is we presented you with the questions beforehand so that you could take a few minutes to look at them. And we're going to go through these. And what we'll do is we'll take a break about midway through for those that are watching. What our goal is to ask everybody generally the same questions. So we're not going to release the interviews until we've completed it with everybody. So, you ready?
All set.
All right, Eric. So the first question is, why are you running for City Council?
I think what motivated us to get involved with city government was some of the controversy surrounding Pastor Clay's worship services at the park. My wife and I have been involved with trying to provide a warm meal once a week to the homeless people for about 16 months. And we've gotten acquainted with a lot of them. A lot of them are homeless for reasons beyond their control.
Right.
And sometimes we feel that the recent ordinance that came up that made it very difficult for Pastor Clay to provide his worship service and meal seems to have been designed to target him.
Right.
And I think a lot of people kind of feel that way. One of the things that Nelma and I noticed is that
let me pause you one second. Nelma is
my wife.
Okay.
Yeah, my partner.
just so we were clear. Okay.
We believe that a lot of the safety concerns people have around homeless people, a lot of them are well-founded, but a lot of the threats to public safety are being posed by people who are not homeless, but people who are just, they've got issues of one kind or another. So
sure.
I don't think that it's fair for us to blame everything that goes wrong in the community on our homeless population.
Sure.
But on the other hand, as we started having conversations with people about the homelessness issue, we understand now that there are a lot of people who have genuine, well-founded concerns on the impact of homelessness on their public safety, on their ability to enjoy the park and feel comfortable in this community, in this space. Mm-hmm. And so based on that, I felt like I wanted to try to get involved in this discussion and try to work toward a solution. This isn't the first time I've run for public office. My wife and I lived in Alaska for over 35 years, and in 2014, I ran for Alaska's state senate against the incumbent was actually a oil company executive who cast the deciding vote for legislation that gutted our oil production tax stream. It resulted in, it really wrecked our world-class university system that we had there. Right. It reduced the amount of money that Alaskans received for their permanent fund dividends every year, which is their share of the oil profits. It was a formative experience for me, and it equipped me to feel comfortable doing what I'm trying to do right now.
Right. What was it, to the benefit of the corporations?
Absolutely, it was.
Right.
Absolutely, it was.
More profit.
Yeah. Yes. The whole point of it, the company had 13 operating units. And if I told you the name of the company, you would.
Right.
I'm sure you bought gas from them before. During the oil downturn and shortly after our election, the Alaska unit was the only one of their units that was turning a profit. It carried the rest of the company because the company pays taxes at half the rate in Alaska that they pay anywhere else.
Wow.
As a result of that legislation.
Well, as we were going to go through questions, homeless was going to come up later, but since you started with that, tell me a little bit more. What do you think some of the solutions might be?
I think that Erica Gonzalez is the new systems coordinator for the Coalition for the Unhoused in our area. I think she and her team have identified some very practical, doable, and effective intermediate solutions. Some of those solutions involve for the police department to work in conjunction with the coalition to identify areas in town where people can camp without being, well, maybe not within the city limits, but I think what they're striving for is a designated area where people can camp without being routed out or being removed. I think ultimately what they're striving to do, an intermediate goal is for them to identify this camping area and be able to use that as a kind of a base of operations in terms of being able to provide people the basic needs and for delivery of services that homeless people need in order to at least attempt to reintegrate into society again. And then I think the long-term goal, I believe, is to develop a transitional living center at some point where there can be more comprehensive service delivery, more intensive service delivery.
Okay. Well, a lot of citizens may show up, and if you're sitting on council, and this is true of power lines and many other things, but nobody wants it in their backyard.
Right.
So if you, and I'm diverting a little bit because I want to follow up on this, and I do this with all the candidates, but so if you're on council and somebody comes up and says, not in my backyard, because that area that you would like to designate is, next to their property, what would your response be?
I think we would have to do what we could to mitigate any kind of harm to them, or I think we need to provide them with reassurances that this is only a temporary solution until we can develop a more long-term solution. I think we need to appeal to their sense of compassion and citizenship and ask them to bear with us while we work toward these solutions. And we think we need to acknowledge their fear, their hesitance. I hope that we can identify an area where there will be very little tendency for harm to nearby properties.
Right. So you had said earlier that you and your wife have been feeding people. Did somebody ask you to do that, or is that just who you are?
Some of the folks around town here may remember Mohammed and Jan. Mohammed was a elderly Scottish man who was a Muslim, and his wife Jan was a Muslim, and Jan and Mohammed and my wife and I are both people of faith, and even though we have different faiths, we became good friends, and as they prepared to leave the community for a place a bit closer to their family back east, we teamed up with them and began feeding generally about 25 to 30 people on a weekly basis down at the park on Saturday afternoons. And we did this out of our own pockets.
Right.
It was felt something that our faith is part of expression of our faith.
Okay. So it was on it was just money out of your pocket.
Yeah, I think we spent about $4,000 doing that over a 16-month period.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you did it on Saturdays? Is that because Pastor Clay was doing it on Sundays?
Yeah, he did it. He did it on Sunday, and Pastor Clay pretty much coordinated. I think we pretty much had full coverage throughout the week. Somebody, I think most of the time somebody was delivering some kind of meal to the people there in the afternoons.
Right. So in transitional housing, I believe that's what you said earlier, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
What do you think that would look like? Would you buy a home? Would you build something? I mean, how would you pay for that and the operating costs?
There's grant money available for these kinds of projects. In addition to being involved in the efforts here, sometimes I go down to Raton and sit in with the coalition down there. They're considering purchasing an older building that would be suitable for this type of thing and refurbishing it. And I can't remember right offhand the source of the grant money, but grant money seems to be available for this type of thing.
Well, we know, and I learned from one previous interview, one of the issues with the homeless is, we have the bathroom facilities and they keep destroying them. And it's not all of them, but it's a small group. Any thoughts on that? What solutions there might be?
Well, I think if we had a special area where people use the bathroom, they're people who take drugs are going to take drugs, and there's going to be paraphernalia. People, they're no different than anybody else. If they had a place where they could do all those things, away from our parks and our other areas where the public congregates, then it would mitigate some of those issues, I think.
Right, and I'm with you. I try to help as much as I can. Probably not to the extent that you do, but I'm just going to focus still on the part of the problem with people in the community is they're upset is because a small group of them it doesn't matter, they'll destroy the facilities.
Yeah.
And what can, any thoughts?
Getting back to the one point I made earlier, not all of them are the homeless people. There are some people that are housed that are doing this kind of thing too.
Right.
I know that the Trinidad Police Department is in discussions with City Hall about beginning to do community policing, where they'll, the old Andy Griffith style of policing, where there's somebody who walks the beat and talks with store owners downtown, goes to the park, gets acquainted with the people down at the park, and can figure out who's doing what and what their needs are.
Right.
That type of policing is very effective, and I think it would, if there's a police presence down there,
right.
3 or 4 times a morning or 3 or 4 times in the afternoon, I think we would see a reduction in some of the destructive, threatening behavior that we witnessed down there.
Well, that is a solution. That's interesting. I like that. We're going to keep moving forward.
Okay.
Eric, what is your most valuable experience you are bringing to the table, and how will this experience benefit the city?
Well, I worked in the oil field for 30 years. About half that time I was a supervisor, and the other half of that time I was a instrument technician. I think my supervisory experience will be helpful. I worked for Fairchild Semiconductor for 1.5 years at one point as a production supervisor, and supervised up to 28 people. So I've had supervisory experience. Drawing on my 1978, I graduated with a degree in social work, undergraduate degree. So it wasn't for Pacific Lutheran University in Tacoma, Washington. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and it wasn't very marketable, so I wound up in the oil field.
Okay.
But I hung on to those skills, and as a matter of fact, last year I used those skills to teach human services at Trinidad Correctional Facility to 8 inmates there.
Right.
And it was a remarkable experience.
Well, delve into that a little bit more. What was that? What were you teaching them exactly?
I was teaching them interviewing skills, writing for human services. I was teaching them survey of human services, those kinds of things. It was remarkable.
Did you seek that out, or did somebody meet you and say, "Hey, would you come to the prison and teach us"?
Well, actually, what I wanted to do was I wanted to teach solar energy classes at the college. Like a solar power type stuff. And the person I spoke with, who's in the administration there, said, "Well, I think I've got something better for you." So would you be willing to teach human services?
Oh, interesting.
And she had inquired about my background a little bit. And
Right.
I said, "Well, yes." I swallowed hard and agreed, and it was really a growthful experience for me. As I delved back into study of family systems and things like that, I gained lots of insight into some of the dysfunction in my own family, and it led me to the conclusion that I don't think anybody sets out to be a bad parent or a bad person. I think we're pretty much all products of our upbringing, for better or for worse.
Have you run across any of the people that you were teaching? Did they get out? Do you know?
I
Have you
think
heard back?
we are not allowed to have any contact with any of our students for a 3-year period of time.
Okay.
So I haven't had any contact with them, and I've invited them to contact me 3 years after their release, because these guys almost became like my sons. So, you know, we spent lots of time together. I can't remember how many hours, close to 200 hours together.
Really? How long was the class during the day?
It was, we taught, taught 3 nights a week, Monday through Wednesday, 2.5 hours a night for 28 weeks, something like that.
And what was the age range?
Most of these gentlemen were mid-20s to mid-20s to mid-40s.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Still learning.
Yeah. I believe in every one of them. I would put my life in the hands of any one of those men.
That's fantastic. Excellent. Well, we're going to keep moving forward.
Okay.
How will you balance the needs of all the constituents, including longtime residents, transplants, working class adults, families, ranchers, farmers, youth, and etc.?
I think the best way to handle that is to try to really listen to what their concerns are, listen to what they feel they've got at stake, what they feel they have to win, what they feel they have to lose. I think the most important thing is for people to feel listened to and understood. And I think if you can convince people that you really know where they're at, I think when a decision is ultimately made, I think they'll understand that it wasn't because they weren't heard.
Right.
So.
In your time in town, have you gotten to know some of the locals?
Oh yeah. My Nelma's gotten very involved in the arts community here. We're in the middle of reestablishing a church here in town, and I've kind of tagged along with Nelma and have made a lot of friends with the people in the arts communities.
So I've been here for a long time, and I'm pretty sure every church. So which church?
The Methodist Church.
The United Methodist Church,
right?
Up by the college,
right? Uh-huh.
Okay, that's beautiful inside there.
Yeah, it is. It's gorgeous.
They used to hold
community choir thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. The community choir there. I filmed numerous events there for them, and it's a beautiful church.
And they're going to continue doing that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
They've done Christmas. They've done plays there. It's a fantastic church, a fantastic building. Okay, so moving forward, how will you deal with inner council conflicts, council citizen conflicts, and what does conflict resolution look like to you?
To me, I think the best way to deal with those issues is kind of like how we were talking about trying to meet the needs of divergent stakeholders. Making people really listening intently. Showing concern and respect for people's beliefs and attitudes, and trying to find common ground where we can.
Right.
Trying to, I think, when it comes down to it, in my personal opinion, and these are my values, I think we always need to. I think we always need to favor the person who has the greatest need for a certain solution,
right,
over, you know.
So if you what about if you had a conflict with a fellow council member,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you guys were just polar opposites on your issue,
Mm-hmm.
how would you handle that?
In my experience, a lot of these divisions are superficial, and they're usually a result of one person really not knowing another person well enough.
Right.
And so I think my approach would be to try to spend some time one-on-one with this person, and try to get to know them better, and allow them to get to know me. And if we understood our values a little bit better and our concerns and our life experiences, that might give us more trust in each other.
Right.
You know, that might allow us to arrive at a better solution.
And I'm speculating here, but it just seems like you're a pretty even-keeled person. So I don't think you would get too worked up in a council meeting.
No, I've been involved in some very stressful situations in the oil field where millions of dollars were at stake, and
Right.
It's been all on me to try to get things going, and I can maintain a steady hand when it comes down to it. So.
It's rare. On occasion, there's been some issues where there's been some contention, but for the most part,
Yeah.
council seems to get along just
Yeah.
fine, even though they disagree.
Mhm.
So, what does a government transparency mean to you?
It means a few things. We talked about one of them. One of them is, for me personally, to be able to identify any kind of conflict of interest I have when it comes to talking about a specific issue that comes up. And getting back to my race against the oil company exec who managed to rake in an extra $1 billion for his company every year, apparently that wasn't a concern of his. So part of it has to do with being honest about what I personally have to gain or lose according to which way things fall in a decision. Also, I think it also rides on our ability. If I propose a solution, I want to disclose both sides of a solution. You know, the downside as well as what I consider to be the upside. And I think decision makers, I don't know that it's done enough, but sometimes I think we need to revisit decisions that we've made and evaluate whether they really were good choices, and learn not so much about that decision, but about how we can refine the process to make better decisions.
Okay, excellent. What are your three top project priorities? Capital improvements, programming, adjusting things at City Hall, etc.
Well, it's the hot topic right now is trying to draw the balance between people who are unhoused and trying to meet the needs of the public to feel safe where they can. Another big concern I have is with the Medicaid cuts that are coming down in another 14, 15 months. I think there's a possibility that our local nursing home and hospital could be affected by these cuts, and possibly there could be some significant consequences.
Right.
And I know that the CEO of the hospital believes that they have the ability to adjust their service delivery such that they can continue to stay viable, but on the other hand, if something unforeseen crops up, I think we need to have a backup plan to be able to backfill Medicaid shortfalls that could jeopardize the solvency of both the hospital or the nursing home.
Right.
And I don't know what that would entail yet. It could mean in Alaska we established different kinds of special districts for different taxation purposes. Nobody likes the idea of paying more in tax, but on the other hand, if something happened to our hospital or our nursing home, what a blow it would be! It would affect our quality of life, our health care. We'd have 100 elderly people who suddenly need to find care elsewhere, and if they're turned out of the nursing home here, that means that they're probably going to wind up going back in with their relatives or something like that. And some of these people have really serious needs. I just I don't anticipate any imminent problem, but I think we need to prepare ourselves just in case something comes up. And the third priority is small businesses are the lifeblood of this community. Our local business owners, they put everything on the line to establish enterprises here that they provide valuable services and goods to the community, and they provide jobs. We need to do what we can to help them out. I think some of the issues I'm hearing is the need for more parking downtown. We need to more security to diminish shoplifting and things, and we've kind of talked about the how community policing can be a factor in that, and then also making sure that when the city government buys something, if they can turn to a local source rather than an outside source, if the product is similar or close, then I think local procurement is really important. Those are just some issues off the top of my head.
So you pay attention pretty closely to what's going on nationally that's going to affect us?
Yeah, I do.
Good. We all are, not everybody, but a good portion of us are. Everybody's holding their breath.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, certainly the hospital and the nursing home are big ticket items in our community, and we need to be aware of what is happening
uh-huh.
in the big picture. Mm-hmm. So that's good to know that you're paying attention to that. How do you see City Council helping to secure proper funding for the city to address its infrastructure needs? Of course, they're putting on the ballot, capital improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So any thoughts on that?
Well, just to review, the city has four main income streams. One is sales tax, and they get a portion of property tax, and then of course we, through our utility payments, we fund the services we receive from the city. Another big funding source is grants and loans and that type of thing. I think we might be able to do more along the lines of trying to prepare grant proposals, devote more resources toward identifying areas where grants might be appropriate, and preparing proposals such that a granting organization can look at them and say, hey, they're ready to go.
Right.
So I guess I would say more, maybe devoting more resources toward grant requests and preparations.
Right. And this is, I'm veering off in a slightly different direction. Have you had time to meet with the new city manager?
I haven't. Yes, I met her at we had she gave a wonderful introduction to city government to us a couple of weeks ago. And after the presentation, I said, I've only seen you in action a couple of times, but I think you're dynamite. And she is. She's extremely knowledgeable and seems to be super, super capable.
So have you sat in on a couple of city council meetings? I believe I saw.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's right.
Yeah, I've testified at a couple.
Okay,
yeah.
You're right. That's coming back to me. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, what we're going to do here, because you covered the homeless part, that was farther down, but you covered that at the beginning.
Uh-huh.
We're going to just take a 2 or 3 minute break, and so we can get a drink of water and relax for a second, and then we're going to take off for the second half. Are you feeling pretty good?
Sure.
Good deal. All right, everyone. I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now. We're going to take a short break. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now. We are in the Chappelle House in beautiful downtown Trinidad, Colorado. So with me today is, and I'm afraid I want to say Treider.
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 Yeah.
I should put a Y down here. that will remind me.
My uncle was a kind of a famous regional country western musician, and out of Lasbuddy, Texas, and he dropped the E out of there, just the first E in there,
Oh, interesting. All right, Eric, we're going to get going here again,
Okay.
and I appreciate it. We did a nice first half of this. What do you see as the future of Trinidad's economy, and what steps would you take to move the city towards that goal during your first 4 years on council?
Actually, I have concerns about our economy in the short term. I think we're heading toward a stagflation event. I think you and I are of a similar age,
Right.
And I remember in the Carter years and in the Reagan years, inflation was high, and unemployment was high.
Right.
And it was really tough on families. And there wasn't a lot that the Fed could do to try to correct those problems. And it lingered, I think it lingered about 8 years before they managed to finally bring the inflation down and the employment back up again. And so that is my concern right now. I think a lot of economists are talking about that. And if that happens, I think our local economy could be in for some tough times.
Well, so you have gas experience, or let's just say energy,
Mm-hmm.
because we have oil and gas, and we have natural gas,
Mm-hmm.
and coal. Do you see any possibility for coal coming back? I mean, that's a specific.
With the present administration in place, I see that as a definite possibility.
Right.
I know a little bit about the Allen mine outside of town, and there were some reasons why the last venture failed, and I think that.
Could you expand on that a little bit?
Okay, I've talked with some people who were involved in the management of the company. Housing was an issue. Getting adequate housing for the workers was an issue.
I remember that some people came and didn't want to be here, or
Yeah.
or housing was sparse.
Yeah,
So-
housing was sparse. At the same time, I don't believe that could be as much of an issue now, because home listings have doubled in the last 18 months, which is also not a good sign.
Right.
But on the other hand, that could turn into being a positive if we're able to attract the coal company back again.
Is there a market though for coal?
I think there is, yeah. I think there's this particular type of coal that's produced here is almost without equal when it comes to steel making. I mean, they actually ship it to Australia. The previous owner was such high quality coal, they were sending it to Australia to make steel.
Right.
And so I think there's a market for the product. There's a lot of controversy about whether coal, it's wise to produce coal, but we're not going to get into that right now.
Sure.
But I think there's a market for the product. And because housing was an issue, then maybe that's not as big of an impediment as it was at one time. I think there were some other operational issues. From what I understand, a lot of the equipment that the previous company bought, most coal producers try to make sure that their equipment is kind of uniform and standardized, so if they have issues with a piece of equipment, they can cannibalize another piece of machinery to get the one going again. And apparently they didn't have that kind of interchangeability with the what do they call them, a continuous miner that comes along and shaves the coal off of the seams. I think it could probably, under the right management, maybe there could be another shot at it.
Okay. What about tourism for the economy?
Yeah, I think Trinidad is underappreciated in terms of what it has to offer as far as architecture and history. I think more could be, and I know a lot of people work hard to at the historical society and in tourism, but this is this is this is such an awesome place to live. We feel like it's really an honor to live here with the buildings. I mean, take a look at this beautiful home here. You know, this is
1886.
yeah. There's not many places around where we have this kind of architecture where it's been cared for.
Or I think it's on the camera here. Even like this fireplace.
Yeah.
I mean, when people come in, they are amazed. You know, and when you tell them how old it is, they have quite a bit of appreciation. So.
Yeah, I think we could do more along the lines of marketing it as far as a historical town and
Right.
that kind of thing too.
Okay, interesting. What is your overall vision for Trinidad for the next 4 years? City, county?
What I'd like to see is I'd like to see everybody in the community to recognize that we may be in for some challenges, and I'd like for us to look for the things that we hold in common, our values, our wishes for the community, and link arms and face these challenges. Make sure nobody gets left behind. I think homelessness will probably increase, so we need to tackle that. Need to be resolute in tackling that problem, so more people don't slip through the cracks.
Right. I think that's a scary thought.
Yeah.
The rise in homeless.
Yeah.
People don't realize that could become a much bigger problem than what it is.
Yeah, we've heard stories from some of the people we know. A woman who was a truck driver, and she had an epileptic seizure at one point. This was like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. She couldn't drive anymore. She didn't have a lot of money, and she headed west to make a new start. And this is as far as she got, and she became homeless. I mean, this wasn't. She didn't choose to have a seizure and lose her career. Sometimes it's the luck of the draw, and
right.
We have to have compassion and give people second chances and give them a hand up.
So I think you are just a little bit older than I, and so we grew up in the 60s and 70s. And, at those times we had political strife and we had economic difficulties. Mm-hmm. How did you get through those times? And so how did you get through those times, and what would you advise the younger generation that are going through that now that don't have the experience that you and I have?
I think in a lot of ways we were going through a huge cultural transformation back then too. Our people's values, the way we viewed all kinds of things were changing rapidly. And to some extent, I think we're going through a cultural revolution now, but I would just encourage people to get active in the political system, vote, come to come to the city council meetings, tell us what you're thinking and feeling, what your needs are. The council can't make good decisions without input from the public, and we have to know how people feel about things in order to make good choices. So.
Well, when you were a young man back then, did you ever foresee yourself getting involved in local government?
No, no. The only reason I wound up running for state senate in Alaska was I'd written a letter to the editor that wound up getting published by the biggest newspaper in the state, and it was like a feature thing. It wasn't just like they made it into a feature, and one of our U.S. senators saw it and said, I think you should consider running against state legislator that
right.
is orchestrating our financial collapse.
Right.
So that's what I did.
I think my recollection is it may have been hard times, but you just dealt with it.
Yeah.
you still pushed forward, and that's what I guess I would encourage some of the younger people to understand. It's like,
Yeah, we'll get through it.
Yeah.
I think I was talking with somebody earlier today who believes that we're at a crossroads right now in our culture, and we're going through a picture, an era of turmoil, and when we come out of it, things are definitely going to be different.
Right.
And depending on how active we are and how assertive we are in terms of what we want our vision for the future to be will dictate which way things are going to go.
Right. I just think we're as you're in the middle of it as we are right now, it's hard. We won't be able to have perspective, of course, until down the road and we look back and go, all right. I mean, I can reflect now on the 70s and the times that we had, and then into the 80s and on and on and on, and it's my perspective certainly is different now than it was at that time. But every day you still got to get up and do what you got to do. That's what I'd advise to the younger generation. It's like we're one way or another we're going to get through this.
Yeah, we will.
So, let's see, where did I leave off? Let's see, that was your overall vision for Trinidad. What projects and accomplishments of the current council do you see as being the biggest benefits to city's development? Now, you may or may not even be aware of some of the things they're doing, but if you are, that's great. If you have any comments on some of the things they've done.
Well, they've some infrastructure improvements with the overhauling the water reservoirs, the water tanks. I guess they increased the capacity of one of the local electric substations. I guess the improvements to gas delivery system. The work they've done on the Riverwalk. I know they've done some work, and there are plans to try to turn it into more of a place where people will want to spend time, and all of the improvements in the infrastructure along Main Street. They've done some fantastic things.
Good.
One of the things that they did was that I think it's called Home First, where they devoted some money to renovating some of the there are 130 homes in the area that are all boarded up, and I think they've gone in and chosen some homes that needed a little bit of TLC and gotten grants and restored those homes to the housing stock.
Okay. And now we're going to talk about you a little bit. What is your biggest success in life?
Being married to my wife. She's a wonderful lady. I didn't meet her until I was in my mid-40s, and I had a tumultuous life before that, and she really turned my life around and gave me a reason to live, and she's taught me an awful lot about what it takes to be a good human being.
Right.
So
it's a common theme that I've heard from the previous people, so that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Opposite of that, what do you think is your biggest failure in life?
Well, I kind of hinted at that a little bit when I was telling you about my work in the prison. I grew up in a very dysfunctional home, and there was a lot of substance abuse, and not very good parenting. And as an adult, I fell into some of those same dynamics myself. Struggling with alcohol for pretty much up until the time I met Nelma, and I was not I didn't devote enough time to being a parent. I was all about chasing money in the oil field and being gone for weeks and weeks at a time, and neglected my son in particular. And I have deep regrets about that.
Right. Who are or who were or are your biggest influences in life?
Okay. This is about my faith. I try to follow Jesus. There's an author named Shane Claiborne who we actually visited at an event I think it was last Friday night. He wrote a book called The Irresistible Revolution, Living as an Ordinary Radical. And Nelma and I read that book about 15 years ago, and it blew us away. It was all about really, in a lot of Bibles, what Jesus said is in red letters. Right. And So he calls himself a red letter Christian, and he exhorts all of us to concentrate on feeding people and healing people and caring about other people and putting other people first. Radical generosity, nonviolence, non-resistance, living as a community. That's my dream for us, is to embrace one another and live as a community. Those two figures had profound influences in my life.
Right. Well, you've actually fed the poor.
Yeah.
So,
I'm trying
so
to do
you,
that.
you certainly have put it into motion.
Yeah.
It's not just you're walking the walk.
Well, I think in a lot of respects you do too, from what I understand.
I try. Eric, last thing, and I may have told you this before, but what I want you to do is, if there's anything that I haven't brought up or anything that you want to talk, whatever you want to say, but what we're going to do is not don't say it to me. You're going to say it to the camera over there.
Okay. Right.
And the little dot there.
Right.
But then I'll wrap it up when you're done. So
Okay.
whether it's a minute or 10 minutes, this is your time, because I just want people to make sure that they've gotten everything off their chest.
Okay.
All the candidates, and so that people know who you are in
Okay.
particular. And that's what this is all about, because we have some people running that, I'd seen you around, but I didn't know you. And that means that there are a lot of people in town that aren't familiar with you.
Yeah.
So this is your time.
Okay. I've been traveling back and forth from Alaska to this community for about 12 years now. And I don't have deep roots here, but I've always felt drawn to this town. I grew up in Albuquerque. There was something about Trinidad that drew us here. I love the mixture of cultures that we have here, the richness that we enjoy from interacting with people from different cultures. People are so friendly here. I want to try to build on that. I want us to really form a strong community and try to unite to meet the challenges that I feel that we're facing. And both my wife and I will work tirelessly to try to make that a reality. And I would really appreciate your vote for City Council.
Eric, that's fantastic. You're, I think, my third interview, and I'm getting more and more excited by the quality of candidates that we have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really impressed. And living in a small town, sometimes it's hard to get people to get involved and to run for office. Mm-hmm. So on behalf of myself and Zach and the rest of the community, thank you.
Thank you.
We, as I said before, we're going to get everybody interviewed that wants to interview, and then we'll release it. And so I suspect, down the road you might be walking in Safeway or Walmart, and somebody might say hi, because we do have quite a few locals that follow our channel and watch, and this is really important. People need to understand that getting involved is important. So thank you very much.
Thank you for letting me have the opportunity to visit with you and share our vision.
This is very enjoyable, as the previous two candidates were. So I'm going to wrap it up. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tom Murphy. This is Trinidad Now. We are being sponsored by my other business, Moy Murphy Funeral Home. So please like, share, and subscribe to Trinidad Times TV 71. And if you're watching on Comcast, please, if you see us around town, let us know that you watched it, enjoy it. And more than anything, please get out and vote. We need. I mean, that's what this is all about. Is we need people to vote, because that's what our country is. What's built our country, in my opinion. So thank you very much. I'm Tom Murphy. We'll see you later.